Hello and welcome to this lecture on how to navigate the MyUI. First, you will need a 3-button mouse with a scroll wheel, and assuming that you have that, let's start by rotating our view. First, we need to hold down Alt and then click the left mouse button, which now if you move around your mouse left to right, you will see that we are rotating our view. Next, we're going to do the same thing with Alt by clicking and holding it down, or by pushing the key and holding it down, and then pressing the right mouse key, which will zoom us forwards and backwards, in and out. Next, we will move from side to side. We will hit Alt, and while holding that down, we will press the middle mouse key. We will now move the mouse left to right, which will move us side to side within the viewport. To focus on anything in the screen, all we have to do is click on that object and just press F while the object is highlighted, and this will zoom us right into that object. So, the Maya Outliner. The Maya Outliner is a powerful tool for managing the hierarchy of objects in a scene. Here are some examples. We can group objects. You can create a group by selecting the objects you want to group and by typing Ctrl-G on Windows or Command-G on a Mac. This will create a new group node in the outliner, which you can then rename. You can then use the group node to move, scale, or rotate the entire group of objects at once. Organizing objects. You can create a parent-child relationship between objects by dragging one object onto the other in the outliner. This will make the drag object the child of the target object. So you can use the group menu option in Edit, Group, or use the m.group command to create a new group node. Just for reference, we should actually drag an item with the middle mouse key just to make it drop on top of another within the outliner. Renaming objects. You can select an object to rename it and press the Enter key. This is useful for giving objects meaningful names that will make it easy to identify them in the outliner. Searching objects. You can do this by clicking on the search text window in the top of the outliner and selecting the naming that you want to use for filtering. This is useful for finding specific objects in a complex scene. Hiding objects. You can do this by selecting an object or objects, right-clicking and selecting Hide in Outliner, or the Hide in Outliner option, and this will bring up the menu that allows you to toggle the visibility of the selected objects or all objects below it in the hierarchy. By using the Maya Outliner effectively, you can keep your scene organized and easy to work with. The Maya Channel Box. The Maya Channel Box displays the attributes of the selected object or objects in your scene, allowing you to easily manipulate and animate them. Here are some useful tips for using the channel box effectively. The Channels menu. You can customize selected attributes by clicking and dragging over their names in the channel box and selecting the drop-down menu Channels. Here you will see you can break or select connections, lock or unlock attributes, and even key attributes at their current value. Edit menu. With the Edit drop-down menu, you can add new attributes, edit current attribute names, and upper and lower limits, and you can access other windows like the channel control window, which allow you to edit the visibility of your objects, of your object attributes. No details. Initially, you will see the object name. Under this, the list of the keyable attributes such as translate, rotate, scale, all relative to the object's hierarchy. Shapes. If the object has form, next you will see Shapes, where you're able to see the list of nodes that define the shape of the object. Generally, this will be just one, but you can have multiple shapes defining an object. Inputs. If there are inputs, then the inputs list show other items and nodes that affect this one. Typically, these comprise of construction history, the construction history node of an object, and other driving objects attributes. Outputs. And lastly, if this object has output connections to another object, then the outputs list the names of the attribute of the output nodes. So nodes that receive connection from this node. Maya Layer Editor. So by default, the layer editor is displayed at the bottom of the Channelbox panel. So click the Channelbox layer editor icon to open it. The layer editor contains tabs that let you display two different editors for working with different types of layers. They are the display layers, which can be created by selecting the object you wish to add and clicking the far right Create Layer icon. Display layers are used to organize and manage objects in a scene, such as setting their visibility and selectability, such as setting them to blank, selectable normally, template T, or reference R, meaning referenced, making them unselectable. I suggest clicking into the drop-down menu layers and setting the ordering also to being alphabetical for future ease if you plan on having a lot of these. I would suggest maybe asking animators to do this because in their scenes having the alphabetical setup is far better. Animation layers. These are used to blend, lock, or mute multiple levels of animation. In all cases, there is a default layer where the objects are initially placed upon creation. Maya Attribute Editor. The Maya Attribute Editor allows you to view and modify the attributes of objects in your scene. Here are some examples. Opening the Attribute Editor. You can open the Attribute Editor by selecting an object in your scene and pressing Ctrl-A on Windows or Command-A on a Mac. Navigate the tabs. The Attribute Editor is organized into several tabs, each of which displays a different set of attributes for the selected object's channels and connections. You can navigate between the tabs by clicking on them. Editing the attributes. To edit an attribute, simply click on its value and type a new value. You can also use the sliders, checkboxes, and other controls to modify attributes. Lock attributes. To prevent accidental changes from an attribute, you can lock it by right-clicking on the attribute and choosing Lock Attribute. Locked attributes will be grayed out and cannot be edited until they are unlocked. Customizing the layout. You can customize the layout of the Attribute Editor by dragging its tab to rearrange it. Using hotkeys. There are several hotkeys that can help you work more efficiently in the Attribute Editor. For example, you can press F to frame the selected objects in the channels as we spoke about. You can press S to set keyframes, as you will see things highlight in red here, or Ctrl D to duplicate an object with the same attributes, although the connections will not be duplicated, as you can see now in the editor. The Maya Connection Editor. The Maya Connection Editor allows you to easily link attributes of one node to another, such as connecting the rotation of a control object to the rotation of a character's joint. Here are some examples. Opening the Connection Editor. Select Window, General Editors, Connection Editor. You can also open the editor from the Channelbox Edit drop-down window. So in the Connection Editor, select the nodes that you want to connect from and click the Reload Left button. This will load those nodes into that window to drive another's attributes. Choosing the input nodes. So once you have selected the output nodes, select the nodes that you want to connect to and right-click Reload Right button. This will load those nodes into that window to have driven attributes. Connecting the nodes. Now you can choose the attributes that you want to connect to. Do this by selecting the attributes' names in the columns beneath each side and beneath each node. And to make the connection, simply select the left side driver by clicking on its parent or child attribute, and then the right side's driven counterpart. The Maya Node Editor. So the Maya Node Editor is a powerful tool for working with nodes and their connections in Maya. Let's have a look at opening the Node Editor. To open it, you simply navigate to the main window at the top of Maya and select Windows, Node Editor. Creating and selecting nodes. In the Node Editor window, in an empty space, hit Tab on your keyboard and type the node name you like, for example, Polysphere or Polycube, or right-click in some empty space and drag up to Create Node. Navigating the Node Editor. You can zoom in and out of the Node Editor by using the mouse scroll wheel. rolling in or out to zoom in and out. Or you can pan the view by clicking and dragging the middle mouse roll wheel. You could also hit F to focus on a node, much like in the My Perspective top or front views. To create node connections between two nodes, simply click on the nodes and press 3. This expands the node's attributes out for you. And now you can drag from the output of one node to the input of another. Just for reference, the outputs are on the right-hand side dots, and the inputs are on the left-hand side dots of a node. If we click from the right-hand side of one node and drag over to the left-hand side of another, then we will be going from the output to the input of those nodes. Edit node properties and connections. To edit properties of a node, double-click on it to open its attribute editor. To edit a connection between two nodes, select the connection wire and tap Delete. This will remove that connection. Or drag on the end of the wire to input it into a new connection as needed. So the My UI display. Having useful heads-up information can really help you as you work. So let's have a quick look at this. So let's open up the heads-up display by selecting Display in the top menu, and then Heads-up Display, and click on the dotted top line. And this opens the window up. This does this for all Maya windows. If they have this dotted line at the top, they just leave them open for you. So, animation details. Turn on or off the display of a list of animation details, which include playback speed, current character, and IK blend. The details are displayed above the frame rate in the bottom right-hand corner of the panel, and the default is off. Camera name displays the camera name, such as perspective, top, or a new camera name in the bottom center of the viewport panel. Frame rate displays the frame rate set in your scene in the bottom right-hand corner in frames per second, or FPS, and the default is off as well for this one. Object details. So this displays a list of object details that includes back faces, smoothness, instance, display layer, distance from the camera, and the number of selected objects. The details are displayed in the bottom right-hand corner of the panel, and the default of this is also off. Polycount. So this displays the polygon statistics for the visible or selected objects displayed in the viewport panel, including vertices, edges, faces, triangles, and UVs. This feature is useful for games development especially. The first column on the left lists the total components of the polygons in the scene, and the second column lists the total components of the selected polygons. The third column lists the total selected components, and the default of this is also off. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to seeing you in the next lecture.